Hello everyone, my name is and together with Victor we will be talking about predicting consumer behavior in short-term loyalty. The goal of our presentation is to present you how machine learning is becoming increasingly important in a short-term loyalty business, and particularly how machine learning is becoming a strategic component of BrandLoyalty's strategy. In order to do so, we will be talking about BrandLoyalty. First, we will present who is BrandLoyalty. Most of you probably are already familiar with the company. We will then spend some time discussing what short-term loyalty is and how it can benefit retailers. We will then give the voice to Victor to talk about data entrepreneurship within BrandLoyalty. And right after, we will move into discussing about predicting customer behavior, which is a topic we chose this year also to develop knowledge about our consumers within the loyalty business and also within the projects that we are conducting at JADS. We're aiming for a 30 to 40 minutes presentation. We are looking forward to your questions in the live chat. Please raise them, and in the end of the presentation, we will be happy to present them.
We'll try to answer them, yes.
First, some fun words, some fun facts about myself. I was born and raised in a beautiful island. I have joined BrandLoyalty roughly 5 years ago. I started as a program manager. I eventually moved into operations, and more recently I joined the data analytics and insights department. My background is in sociology, where I developed a big passion for consumption studies. And as I just mentioned, last year, together with Victor, we joined the data expert program at JADS. And well, this means that we are not data scientists, but we are very enthusiastic about data, and we like data entrepreneurship.
Yes. So, hello to everyone. My name is Victor. Thank you very much for hosting us here in this wonderful studio. It looks very impressive. Originally, I am from Russia. It's a very big, different, and very interesting country. The picture you can see, I took it on the hottest beach of Russia in the summertime. Kidding. I'm working at BrandLoyalty for more than 5 years. I have started in Moscow office and been working there for 3 years as the program manager, running the loyalty promotions. And then, I think around 2 years ago, together with my family, we have moved here to the Netherlands, and now I am working in the data analytics department. I have the computer science background with a software engineering, analytics background, and also experience. Yeah. Also the same as José, I am following the JADS data expert program at JADS, and we are doing this less than a year, and we are already invited into such a nice auditorium as the speakers, so it's worth it for sure. So, enough about us. Let me say a few more words about the company we are working at. The name of the company is BrandLoyalty, and we love happy people. So, before diving into details about our business, let me introduce it in this way. Yes. Sorry for hurting your ears, but I think all of you heard this "Spart u zegels" question. You've been asked at the cash register. Actually, that is our business. We are running short-term loyalty promotions. On the screen, you can see a few examples of the leaflets of our promotion. We are doing the collectible programs and also spend and get programs. On the next slide, I will say a few more words about our company. We are world leading company in a short-term loyalty promotions. We are running mainly we are running two kind of programs. This is the spend and get program. I think from the last year you should remember Winterdorp in Alberthain, also soccer program, and the also very well known to you collectible programs. Mainly our business is focused at the grocery retail, because our programs are working in in a repetitive environment. So we need shoppers to walk to the stores repetitively and spending their money. And we are rewarding them with the stamps, rewards. You will know all that a bit later. Our business is mainly focused in EMEA region, but company is rapidly growing in Asia and in Americas. Let's continue.
Yeah, so I will now talk a little bit about short-term loyalty so that you can understand what it refers to and what it can deliver to the retailers. So in a very short sentence, short-term loyalty programs are effective ways of targeting specific turnover from shopper segments. You can think about, for example, families with children, but also calendar moments, for example, Christmas or New Year, which are high turnover periods of the retailers, but also product categories like fresh fruit and vegetables, because these are also categories that sometimes represent high operational costs for the retailers, but also a big share of their revenue. Short-term loyalty programs are an effective way of driving long-term shopper loyalty. And they do this by increasing, for example, the basket size of the customers, by increasing their shopping frequency, by acquiring specific customer segments, growing the share of wallet, among many other factors that we can positively impact the retailers. When we're thinking about building a short-term loyalty program, there are 5 criteria which we find to be successful. To be very important to build successful promotions. The first criteria is spend. And when we're talking about spend, we are actually talking about the spend you need to make to be rewarded with a stamp, but also the spend you need to make in order to collect sufficient amount of stamps to redeem a promotional program. Spend is very important in loyalty promotions because it is our way of targeting our target consumers, so our audience from the retailer. Another very important factor is reward. And reward is pretty much the reward you want to give to your customers. It's pretty much dependent on the goals you want to achieve as a retailer. Let's say, for example, you are aiming for an audience mainly composed about kids. You will think about fun and playability in your rewards. So maybe you will also like to connect it with a brand like Disney or Marvel or Star Wars, for example. But if you're looking, let's say, for a family, let's say for a bit of older people, as we are, of course, still young though, you will be looking to a more functional product. That could be, for example, a set of glassware, a set of knives, something that will drive some functionality, for example, in your kitchen. A third factor that is also very important in loyalty promotions is the offer you give. And by offer, we mean let's say the promotional price, for example, of a product. You can imagine that offering a product which has a high perceived value for a very high discount or even for a free offer can drive much more impact than compared with low perceived value, for example, with a very low discount. We actually believe that the offer you put into the customer is a game changer. And if you really want to drive a big impact as a retailer, this is the way to do it. Go with a high discount offer. A fourth element of designing a loyalty promotion is the time frame. And the time frame, by time frame, we mean the moment of the year that you will choose to run a loyalty promotion. You could choose, for example, as I already mentioned, the Christmas and the New Year. But you could also choose the Easter or even, for example, the back-to-school period.
Yeah.
But also about the duration of the promotion. Normally, the duration of short-term loyalty programs will fall around 16 to 20 weeks. But that all depends about the consumer base of the retailer, also about the spend that you define, so that it remains, let's say, sufficiently challenging for the consumer so that he actually stretches his behavior in order to deliver impact to the retailer, or and at the same time sufficiently engaging for the consumer, meaning that it still needs to be achievable. Consumers still need to be able to collect the goods that they aspire to collect. This way, we can keep them interested in the promotion and engage with the promotion. A fifth factor, and this is of course relevant, you need the support from specialized people. This is because you need to communicate and communicate with your targets and recruit them to your promotion. I will now give the voice to Victor, so he can talk a little bit about data entrepreneurship and brand loyalty.
Yeah, thank you, José. So now you know almost everything about the short-term loyalty promotions. How are they working? And now have a rest, and I will guide you, meanwhile, to the history of brand loyalty. But I will be very quick, honestly. The history of brand loyalty is quite long. So the company is 25 years old, and it walked the path from a 4-people company to the world leading loyalty company. During those 25 years, company extended the portfolio of brands it is working with. Company opened around 25 representative offices worldwide. And at the moment, every year, we are running loyalty promotions in 60 countries. That's a lot, 60 countries. And we are engaging 100 million consumers in those 60 countries. It's unbelievable when you think about those numbers. It's really impressive. But the company develops not only from a commercial perspective, but also from the values perspective. Next slide, please. Yeah, so everything starts with a product centric, so with a product value, where the product which you deliver to the retailer was the main focus of the company. Then the value developed to the retail centric model, where the retailer was the focus of our business. And finally, the value shifted to the consumer value, because consumer actually he or she is the end of our business, actually the goal, our passion, the goal of our business, why we are doing this. And the next slide. Yeah, and finally we are approaching to the analytics, to data and analytics. Be patient, soon we will give you more about it. So among those 25 years, company also followed the data maturity path, and now we have walked, I think, from descriptive analytics to the predictive analytics, and we are dreaming to enter the prescriptive analytics age, but it will take us some time. To give you a few very bright examples of the solutions we did for the last few years, that is the analytical framework. So this is our, I would say, game changer, because that tool, when we have introduced it, that changed the way how we work with the data. So actually this tool, the main goal of this tool is to analyze the impact of the loyalty promotions we did together with retailers. So to prove that they have invested millions of euro, not just for fun, but there is a real return on investment. So that consumers, they have changed their behavior, and by doing that, they brought additional turnover and ROI in the end. So this tool is able to process and store millions, hundreds of millions of transactional rows of transactional data, powered by the Microsoft Azure services. And actually, this tool, the rollout of this tool became a milestone in our analytical history, because the infrastructure which was used to build this model, people which were hired to build, to work with this, that was, it became kind of the fertilized soil for the analytical products. And then after, I think, 2 years, they start growing one after another. For example, operational dashboard. This solution is a good example of the way how to improve the descriptive analytics, the descriptive tool. It allows you to keep your hand on the pulse of the loyalty promotion. in real time, well, as soon as retailer is sharing the data with us, we are instantly able to show how program actually is performing. Are we in line with the predictions we made? Ratios are the same as we have predicted. Do we need to shift the ratio? Do we need to deliver more products, less products? Which stores are performing better? Which stores are worse? So this tool allows us really to steer the performance of the promotion. Another very nice, the great example of the predictive era is the Raven. Ratio and volume excellence. Raven stands for that. That tool allows us, so it extends, it does not replace humans, but it enrich the tools which are available for the specialists and brand loyalty. It helps to predict the product ratios, the distribution of the ratios among the products, because what Jose mentioned, 5 main topics. This is the kind of top of the iceberg, because behind those 5 main criteria, there are many more. Then to predict ratios and also to estimate the size of the promotion. So by running the model, we're able to say, okay, how ratios will be distributed and what will be the size of the promotion. Time series analysis, also nice example of descriptive analytics that actually that was developed as alternative methodology of measuring the program impact. We have our 4-point methodology, which analytical framework is responsible for, and the second methodology to cross-check the first one was the time series analysis. So those 4 are the good examples of the data evolution we have in brand loyalty. And we're getting even more closer to the analytics. So as it is mentioned in the description of the session, we have promised to tell you how learnings are put into practice. For the less than a year, we've been working hard on studying data science, data engineering, data cleaning, ETL, a lot of new skills for us. I don't know how to speak Dutch, but I know I learned Python language a bit. Maybe it will help me. So, as a part of this data expert program, we need to deliver the graduation reports in order to be able to be graduated. And then we were actually thinking where we have some gaps in our business. And the topics of our projects are actually predict the program impact for me and predict the shopper's behavior for Jose. What stands behind it, we will tell you in a second. Yes, my project, predicting program impact. When I've been working as the program manager in Russia and as the data analyst trying to prove the results of the promotion, the problem I met, I was dealing with is that the program design is based on the highly aggregated data, that the result which we are promising in the very beginning of the promotion not always the same as the result we have measured after the program is over. And the third part, that we were not always being able to give a clear explanation to the retailer why actually that happened. Next slide, please. So here I have decided to try to improve those 3 steps of brand loyalty business. So improve the data exploration part. As I have already said, the program design was based on the most of program designs is based on the highly aggregated data. So in most of the cases, retailers were sending us CRM data where transactions were aggregated into bands. So we were able to see the number of transaction bands, turnover. And then the paradox is that our promotions, they are focused on the consumers, on the shoppers, but the promotion was designed on the transactional data, but not on the consumers' data. I thought that this process can be improved, and I did that by moving from the aggregated data towards the analysis of the transactional level data. So now, if the retailer would like to share with us transactional level data on daily level and consumer level, we are actually able to run the binding algorithms, I mean to run the decile analysis, the spend band analysis to see how sales is distributed in retailers' data. Then we are able to do the recency, frequency, monetary segmentation in order to better know the consumers of the retailer, where the most value is hidden, and so on. Then the last thing is, not the last, because the brand loyalty history is very rich. We run over 2,000 programs, but the problem is that we have measured the program results of much less programs, and the improvement which I did, I have built the clusterization algorithm which helps people to find the most similar promotions in order to learn the best from those promotions. So I took the retailers' parameters like the number of transactions, the weekly turnover, and so on, and then the model is able to find the most similar retailers and promotions which were run in the past, and that helps people to benchmark against them and to learn the best, to take the best from those promotions, and not to repeat the mistakes we did in the past. The next thing I thought to try to solve is to predict the program impact in order to build the bridge from the design phase of the promotion towards the evaluation of the promotion. So what I did, I built a regression model which is used the program parameters, program features as the predictors, and yes, I said we have quite some data in our historical database. But unfortunately, we don't have the data set we have is not big enough in order to get trustful results. But this is the learning curve, and of course that needs to be improved. And with the help of JADS, with the colleagues, I think we'll be able to improve that process. Luckily, José at the same time been working on another way how to predict the consumer engagement, and the results of his project might also be used in order to predict the program impact. And the last thing, the last objective of my project was to increase the transparency of the program design and evaluation phase in order to be able to answer the question of the retailer, like, hey guys, you have promised us 5% of sales growth, but we don't see it, or we see 10%. And then before we were not actually very confident in explaining why this has happened. But now, having this transparency with the data, we exactly know where the growth should come from which segment of the consumers and so on. And if the results are not the same as we were expecting, we are able to see why is that. Maybe because the turnover in some of the segments is not that high as we've been expecting. Maybe the number of consumers is, there is a churn, the consumers are leaving to another retailer. There might be a lot of different reasons, and now we're actually able to track why this has happened and where the difference is coming from. That was how I applied the learning on practice. That was my story, and now I give a floor to José, and he will tell his project.
Thank you. So as Victor explained, BrandLoyalty became a much more mature company in terms of data vision and strategy. And actually, we are also in a new era of data. While in the past we were working mostly with highly aggregated levels of data, we are now having access to deeper levels of granularity on the consumer transaction data. Also, because of our participation in JADS, we were invited to think creatively about what solutions we would like to develop, and not necessarily as a final product, but at least as a proof of concept. And given that invitation, I decided to focus on predicting customer behavior. Now, machine learning has multiple applications in the business of loyalty. It really helps us make data-driven decisions and better decisions throughout the whole program journey. You can think about the program journey as having three main moments: the before moment, the during moment, and the after moment. You can see here in this slide how the different solutions Victor presented can be allocated in the different phases and stages of the program. But because I'm particularly interested in predicting the customer behavior, I am focusing mostly on the design phase. So designing a loyalty program is mostly and more importantly about defining who are the right customer targets. In fact, depending on what are the goals of the retailers, we can provide different solutions who will also drive more specific effects. You can think about spend and get promotions as driving with more emphasis the acquisition of new customers, new potential customers, or the collect and redeem promotions, where we are mostly about talking about moving them up, making sure that we can gain more value from already existing consumers. This is also particularly important, let's say, for my part, because I am interested in looking into consumers that we already have information about. How do they purchase and how do they behave? In fact, if we want to move forward with designing a loyalty mechanic, the first thing we need to have is some basic shopper data. If we want to stretch the span of consumers, we need to have some knowledge about their current transactional behavior. With this information, for example, with the shopper frequency, with the basket size, with the number of transactions and the value of these transactions, we are more capable of defining relevant parameters like I already explained: the spend per stamp, the total spend, and the time frame for the program. Now, what also Victor pointed out is that until very recently, we were mostly working with highly aggregated shopper data. And what you can see, for example, in this chart, this is a stacked bar chart, where, for example, you can see that so for the different colors are segments or groups of consumers based on their average ticket value. And although this is actually valuable for us to locate where the most valuable customers are. For example, you can see that the bottom 38% customers have an average ticket value of up to 10 euros, but they only represent 14% of the total sales of the retailer. On the other hand, you can see that the top 16 customers, who with an average ticket value of 16%, they represent basically 51% of the total sales of the consumer. So this is, on the one hand, valuable for us to locate where are the most valuable consumers and where should we aim to while designing the program mechanics. But it really gives us very little insights about the consumers that we are looking at. In fact, if we think about the information that we can extract from highly aggregated data, it doesn't necessarily reflect the real behavior of the customers. In fact, it's most of the times some calculations that are done based on total level data. But the game has changed, and we have now much more data available. Victor here gave you a little bit of perspective, but when we have this amount of data and the granularity of this data available, we are able to go much deeper. In fact, with this data, we can build a much more comprehensive understanding of our customer base. We can go beyond their monetary value, and we can assess the real frequency of these shoppers, their recency, the basket size, but most importantly, also their lifetime value. We can look at consumers not only from a retrospective perspective, looking at how they were purchasing in the past, but we can actually build a prospective feeding of what will be the value of these customers. Of course, by having all this information at hand, we are capable of being much more strategic and developing much more chirurgical, if we want to use the name, chirurgical strategies to meet the goals of the retailers. Actually, if we couple this RFM metrics, as also Victor pointed out, so recency, frequency, and monetary value, together with the lifetime value, and we use clustering algorithms, we are much more capable of locating what are the characteristics of the consumers that we want to aim for in designing the mechanics of our loyalty programs. This is just an illustration for you to understand the value of combining metrics such as recency and frequency, but also looking at how the value of certain customers how we expect the value of certain customers to evolve in the future. But the story doesn't end here. And it is indeed important for us to locate the most valuable consumers, but it's also very important for us to have the right expectations about how these consumers will respond to our mechanics, both in terms of participation, but also in terms of the real transactional response they will develop while participating in our promotions. For this purpose, we can use classification algorithms to help us predict customer behavior, namely their participation, indeed, our topic. Well, by using classification algorithms, we are capable of validating our expectations in terms of conversion rate of certain customer segments. It will be a pity if we would know exactly which customers we are looking for, but because we are not building the right mechanic, we are not able to convert the necessary amount of customers that we need to deliver our goals. Actually, we made quite good progress. I would say this chart, to try to help you understand a little bit this chart, in the x-axis you can see the conversion rate, and that is illustrated by that green line, and on the y-axis you see the customer value, and you see three segments of customers, segment 1 being the most valuable and 3 the less valuable. And you see that conversion rate tends to increase as we move up in the value ladder.
I think it's important to mention that conversion is how many consumers they turn to be the redeemers, the participants of the promotion.
By this we mean exactly how much consumers we will actually convert into participants in the promotion. And we are actually, with this classification algorithms, feeding them with all these RFM metrics and customer lifetime metrics combined with the promotion parameters that we are aiming to use, we can validate our expectations by predicting customer conversion with up to 80% accuracy.
Yeah, because before the only way to check if the program is well designed was only to run the program, but actually it's a quite expensive way to validate.
But then, you see, on one hand, it is important for us to locate where these valuable customers are. And the second stage is also important for us to build the right expectations that the mechanics that we are designing will drive the effects that we are expecting. But it doesn't end there. It will be actually a pity if we are able to locate these customers, if we are able to convert them as participants, but in the end, they are not really responding as we expect. So with the help of regression models, we are actually able to estimate with, I would say, a pleasant level of accuracy at this stage. Of course, all these steps are a process, and they are always looking for improvement. But we are able to predict how they will respond in terms of their transactional behavior. And it could be, as I just mentioned, that we are able to recruit the customers we want to recruit, but in the end, they don't develop a response which is significantly different from a non-participant. So by using regression models, we are actually able to build our expectations in this respect and fine-tune the promotional parameters in order to drive a different response and a productive response on the participants. And we do this, of course, by feeding these regression models with RFM metrics, customer lifetime metrics, the participation status that we were
Recently
able to predict using the classification algorithm, and also the promotion parameters that we are designing. Closing the loop. So how does this actually come together in the end? How do we benefit from all this? Of course, this is not an ended product. This is a step towards developing a predictive status, evolution and maturity step.
Yes.
But we can already foresee some of the benefits. And Victor also explained other applications which are not necessarily related with customer behavior, but are more related with program performance, which it's not completely dissociated with customer behavior. For example, the Raven tool. And the fact is that machine learning can effectively help us drive operational excellence. Our increasing data capabilities, on one hand, allow us to optimize our loyalty mechanics, and at the same time validate the design proposals that we are working on. Next to that, we can tackle retailers' challenges and build trust by delivering transparency. In the end, we are also making progress in our in executing our BL 2025 data strategy, and this delivers a very important outcome for us, which is retailer happiness. Retailer happiness is the key for us to develop a sustained relationship with the retailer when we can continuously deliver impact for the retailer.
Exactly. And in the new age of data importance, I think it's very important to be able to prove that your the business you do is the data proven, that you need to let data speak in order to convince retailers to do business with you.
In the meantime, I am not sure if we have received the questions in the chat box. I will be...
Let's ask our moderators. Whoa.
Okay, we do have some questions. Maybe we can start with the first question. And the question is, what is the importance of reward redemption with regards to the long-term effect of a program? Victor, do you want to try to answer, or is not sufficiently clear the question?
What is the importance of the reward redemption with regards to the long-term effect of a program? Yeah, I don't think that I have clearly understand the
well, maybe I can try to step in. So the question is, what is the importance of the reward redemption? So the reward redemption will be when a customer rewards a product. Mm-hmm. So it means that he efficiently achieved the goal that we determined for a redemption. And what is the long-term effect in regards to the long-term effect to a program? So my shortest answer is that when consumers engage with our promotions, they have to meet, of course, the goals of our mechanics. But in the end, the outcome is that we don't only build, let's say, a mechanic that allows us to keep the consumer retained with the consumer connected with the retailer during the promotion, while he tries to achieve his redemption aspirations, but also that it drives a continuous emotional relationship with the retailer, that he is perceived as a valuable customer to the retailer, and that he in the end, this normally, what we would expect is that this will prolong the customer lifetime value of this customer. So in the end, we can, of course, drive a short-term effect, which is during the promotion, while consumers are engaged with a campaign. And this, what we have observed is that this has a long-term effect. So this will also retain the consumer in the retailer for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I think the post-program analysis also proved that after the program is over, we still see that the consumers, they are still engaged, that their behavior is different than before the program starts, that it is higher than...
Yeah, and if we measure after the end of a program, what would be then the expected customer lifetime after the program period, it is very noticeable that we have different results for those who are participants and those who are not participants. Mm-hmm. We have a question, I think this one is good for you.
Yeah,
How do you secure the privacy of the consumer in this program?
Yeah, actually, we are taking privacy very seriously. So we are following GDPR policy regularly. Our data solutions, they're being validated by the by the auditors. Also, our legal department is keeping the close eye on our data solutions. And there are actually the few barriers which are keeping the consumer's data as much secure as possible. So the most important one is that we don't receive personal identification data. So retailers, they are sending us data where loyalty card IDs, so we are not receiving any phone numbers or something like that. We are receiving hashed loyalty card IDs, so consumer identifiers. And technically, we are not able to track having this hash number. We are never technically able to trace back the real consumer. So for us, it's just the consumer ID with its unique behavior. So from privacy, I would say our solution, they are bulletproof.
We also have another question, and that is, what is the effect of customers who have multi-loyalty cards? I assume this refers to consumers who have different loyalty cards in different retailers. Well, it's a good question. Well, it's not necessarily that we have a specific analysis addressing this topic, but it is not surprising for us to expect that customers indeed shop in different retailers, and that is actually what we want to achieve most of the times with our promotions, is that retailers with their promotions gain the market share, so that we will then drive for the period of the promotion and the subsequent period, that we will drive mostly the usage of one of the loyalty cards. So I think that will be the answer to this question.
And also, to add on that, if you mean that if one person have 2, 3, 4 multiple loyalty cards within one retailer, then of course, data-wise, those are the different consumers. So if you have 3, 4 Albert Heijn loyalty cards, I don't know why you need it, but in case if, of course, your behavior is not summarized, because for us, it's different consumers. Mm-hmm. But also in some retailers, there is an option to merge actually multiple loyalty card IDs into the household IDs, and then we can track the consumer behavior not from the consumer perspective but from household perspective. But of course, only if we have the mapping data. Yep.
We have another question, and it's about what are the career chances for new talents at BrandLoyalty. I would say we are always looking for new talents, and we, as I briefly explained, we have a 2025 strategy where data plays a key role. So I would say check the BrandLoyalty website and look for the opportunities we have already immediately available there, or just feel free to be spontaneous and send us a motivation letter and your CV.
And I think we are good examples of the career possibilities. I have started in Moscow 5 years ago, and in 5 years I'm sitting at this wonderful studio and presenting you the applications we did for machine learning. That's very nice.
And as an increasingly data-minded company, we are already also integrating data science within our organization, which doesn't necessarily meet our profiles, but it is something that we are investing for the future. We have also another question, and can you still work with engagement programs if clients only visit twice a year?
I would say that if you would come to the store when our program is running and you still come the second time much later, then it means that we did not target you very well, that we need to look for the proper range for you.
We do have some cases where we trialed in retail contexts where the frequency of shopping is very low. And we achieved quite some interesting results. But that means that we don't work so much in the scope of spend and get promotions. That we focus more on instant reward promotions, so that we can attract customers into the store. So it is. It's hard to call this necessarily loyalty. I would focus more on increasing. On increasing the frequency of unique visits. There is no. It will be hard. Because of the lack of repetitive nature of the transactions in that retail context. It is more challenging to make them loyal, because it's just not part of a conventional retail practice to shop frequently. Let's say, would you buy a pair of socks every week, for example?
Well, maybe not me, but yeah, no. I will get the present for the new year.
Okay.
Well, to add on that question, I would say in my practice, in some of the programs, I saw the huge growth of the lower segments. So people with a lower spend were actually people from that segment. They were not technically able to redeem. Their spendings were not high enough to achieve their spend requirement. But actually people, they really loved the range of the program, and we saw that their spending behavior changed into 100. Yeah, so their spendings grow in program period comparing to pre-program period in hundreds of %. And then the question was, why? And obviously, if people been visiting the store only very few times and their spending was super low, and if in the program period their spending behavior changed so much, and there were no any other things happening than the loyalty promotion, it means that it is possible to engage consumers with a low frequency if program is well balanced, if the range is correct. Yeah, I think I was so much happy when I saw the Fiskars range in one of the retailers, and I thought, oh, that's a cool range actually, right for me.
Well, we don't have more questions now, so I think we will thank you all for your time and curiosity for your questions, and we hope to see you soon in the retail shopper floor.
Yeah, and maybe in our data as the consumer, or maybe
even within BrandLoyalty
office, as the talented colleague. So thank you very much for hosting us here. That was an amazing experience for two of us, and hope to see you again. Stay healthy. Bye.